What you're going to do is start with a white cardstock. I'm just going to fold this in half. This is going to act as your base. And then I'm going to set this aside. And with a pattern paper like so, I'm going to wrap this around the card itself. So what I'm going to do is, because this card is 5.5 inches wide, I'm going to cut this down. So it's 5.5 inches wide. I will fold this in half. The original size of this pattern paper is the 12 by 12. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my adhesive and apply it directly to the cardstock, and then I will match up the spine right here, smooth it out, and do the same thing for the back side here. Notice I'm closing up the cover each time. That way I can ensure that this card is going to close nice and tight. Now I'm going to fold this in like so. And apply this, and then once again I'm going to wrap this around and then smooth that down, and now I've got the base of my card. So I'm going to set this aside, and what I'll do now is I'll take my extra white cardstock and cut off a rectangular piece big enough for the design. This one's going to be 3 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then I'm going to take this Mimi stamp like so. I'm going to use the VersaFine Instant Dry Pad. It's very important that I use the Instant Dry Pad, mainly because it will dry instantaneously, therefore I can color in the design and I don't have to worry about smudging the design at all, so I get a crisp image and the color is nice and vibrant. Just stamp it out nice and firmly like this. And then with my markers I'm going to color in Mimi. I will take a pink cardstock and I'm going to frame this in. Notice I have a little feathered edge. I can just smooth it down with my finger. It's caused by a dull blade. So if you don't want to have that happening, you do want to start with a fresh blade. But in this case I just smoothed it down. So notice I'm leaving a little margin around there, about 1/8 of an inch. With my fingernail I just do a little marking, so therefore I can just trim this with my paper trimmer without having to measure out. So I'm going to cut this where my markings are, and I'm going to frame this out one more time, this time in the brown. So once again I'm going to give it a little margin around it. You could do it a little wider if you'd like, or you could do the same amount all the way around. So I notch it with my fingernail and just cut it. Like this. It's a nice time saver. And then now that I have my pieces ready, I'll just put the adhesive right behind. I'm using the Scotch ATG gun, which is my ultimate favorite adhesive ever. So I'm going to center this on here. And I'll apply this like so. Now I'm going to lay this right on here. And then with my quickie glue pen, I'm going to trace over the stamped image like this. I like this quickie glue pen because it allows me to get the detail of the design with this fine tip. Notice I even dotted her skirt. And this pen is quite sensitive, where even just the tiniest dots will be glittered. And then with my strawberry frost, I glitter this like this. And I'm just going to catch it on a cardstock here. Next part I'm going to be doing is adding the accent bows. So what I do here is I have this 1/4 inch ribbon, and notice I'm just going to leave it right on the spool. I'm going to tie this directly into a bow. Notice I start with a loop. I don't tie the initial knot And see how big this is right now? It's okay to make sure that the knot in the middle is nice and tight, and just keep pulling on the tails until you get the size bow that you like. Notice I just pull it to tighten it again, and I keep pulling on the tails. And see, this is the size that I would like. And then now that this is ready, I just take my scissors and just trim off the edges. And what I do here is I take my ATG gun, just roll off enough to make a little glue dot. This makes a perfect adhesive for the glue dot. And the last thing I'll be doing here is, remember how I wrapped it around here? I'm going to line the inside so it creates a finished card. So this is another one of the pattern papers that's part of the same gingerbread collection. Even though it's called the gingerbread collection, you can use it all year round. And because it is a 5.5 inch width card, I'm just going to trim this down. The original size of this paper is 12 by 12. And what I want to do on the inside, this is 8.5 inches. I do want to go a little bit within there so that it doesn't overhang. So I'm just going to go down to 8.25 inches, even though the card itself is 8.5 inches. That'll give me a 1/8 of an inch margin around. So then I fold this in half, like this. And then I'm going to apply this adhesive. And just like I did the cover, I'm just going to close it up on it like that. And then on the back side I'll do the same thing. I'll attach the adhesive here, and then I'll close it up right on the card so I get a nice clean fold. And with this, obviously this is nice and dark, you can put another insert here to add your message. And what I would do is, with that extra cardstock, you can just take a piece here, you could frame out a little bit of the pink here. This is all with the same paper that I started with. So it allows you to use every little bit. So I'm just going to cut this down. And I'll just put the adhesive behind there. Attach that. And you could add this, you could put it at a square like this, or you could do it at an angle. This one I'll just keep it straight. And you could also add your message in the center, on the bottom, at the top, or other decorative designs, such as we have the little puppy dog that you could stamp across the bottom with maybe footprints across there, or just flowers, or whatever you desire. What we do next is decorating the inside of the card. So what I'll do here is, with this Versa Magic Pad, this is the aloe vera. I'm going to take this rectangular scallop stamp. I'm just going to ink it up quite nicely. And if you look, because it's solid, I always make sure that it's inked up. So I flip it over just to make sure. Then I'll just stamp it right centered at the very top. And then with the VersaFine, I'm going to stamp my message right in the middle of that design, like that. And I'll take this little puppy, stamp it right on the side here, the little trail there.